To compare and contrast my two images, I have one on the top that is kids playing in a city, and the bottom photo is kids playing in a suburban area. How you can tell them apart is the background images. According to Lester Paul M., author of Visual Communication, Images with Messages states, a shape that is quickly recognized is clearly separated from the background of the image. The three basic shapes are polygrams, circles, and triangles. From these three shapes, variations that make all known or imagined forms can be created. The name of a form created by a combination of shapes is a polygon. As a visual attributes, cultural meaning is assigned to each shape. The city has large tall buildings and concrete surrounding the kids. This is a sign that creates meaning of an urban area. The kids in the country are not going to have large tall buildings around them. They're going to have more trees and grass to play in. This is a sign of a suburban area. Memories that would create or brought up are dependent on the individual. If you grew up in a city, a person would see the urban images and feel more like home. They would feel safer and comfortable seeing city images because they're used to seeing buildings and concrete on a daily basis. If you lived in a suburban area, you are going to have more negative thought of how do people live without grass, trees, and space. How can they be confined to all these buildings and concrete? The memories that will be created make up a huge part of these photos because they will create an emotional thought from the photo that is either positive or negative. The experience will be different between the two. A lot of city kids looking at the photo of an urban area may also think, how do they play without concrete? How do they go skateboarding or have friends since there's no structure to the image? Also, looking at the city people may think negative thoughts because of all the trash laying around. Thoughts of dirtiness, pollution will cross the mind. Urban people expect to see trash because of the buildings and people everywhere. Also, they might expect to have less sunlight and more haziness around them, while the suburban people like to see green, more sunshine. Due to the less buildings around, they will have more nature and color. Suburban people would think that living in a city is depressing because of all the gloominess. In order to reach both demographics positively, we have to reach them on a common ground. We have to show them familiar images. Showing a suburban person a city image is not going to create a happy response. They're not used to that way of life and imagery. We need to incorporate more nature and wildlife. This will make them feel more like home and comfortable. City people need to see more structure and building and lines to show organization. They will help them relate to their daily lives of living in the city. Having more buildings and darker gray images will help relate to that part of the brain. Metonymic images cause people to make assumptions about a symbol or image. For example, people looking at a city could make the assumption that all the cities are run down, trashed, and unregulated. Nobody will want to live in a rundown city. Even though one city might look this way, not all of them are going to be that way. The country image, a person looking at the photo may think, how can you get anything done or do anything when there is only grass and trees around? There is no structure and purpose to anything around the image. Analogical is the comparison of two different things that creates a clearer meaning of what is being said. For example, the city is gloomy and hazy. It's like waking up to a foggy morning and the sun trying to shine through. This is relatable for people because we have all woken up to a foggy morning. This creates an image that the fog is more powerful and the sun is trying to shine through. Another example for a suburban area, the country is green like as our wallet is full of cash. This is an analogical example, allows people to understand that the suburban areas are more green, just like the money in their pockets. Everyone has seen money or has money and will be able to relate to that statement in some way. Display semiotics is transferring meaning from one set of eyes to another. For the city image, the windows in the background are like eyes because when living in the city, you are rarely ever alone or by yourself. There are a lot of people that live in the city and privacy is limited. In a suburban image, the kids are playing tug of war. The rope looks like a toy that the kids are fighting over because they want to play with it. Most kids who live in a suburban area have more space and less kids to share with, therefore creating a more selfish environment, and the rope is displaying that thought. Condensed semiotics are several signs that combine to create a new composite sign. For the kids playing in the city, it is very dirty and trash is everywhere. For people who don't live in the city might think that you have to live there to understand why trash is everywhere. For kids being out in the country or suburban areas, no trash and no buildings, you might think that you have nothing to do, no structure, and it is a very empty world.